been a difficult time for me ever since my son passed.
Is that the first time you had heard that he was taking that drug?
Yes, very first time.
He watched this get right in front of our own face. And the knew it was finna happen. He told us, and we didn't know.
Can't let them get away with what they're trying to do, because now I'm a free agent. I just owe Sony one more album.
Katherine Jackson has remained mostly silent on her son Michael's tragic death until now. Was his passing truly an accident?
Is that the first time you had heard that he was taking that drug?
Yes, very first time.
Or was it part of a deeper plot involving some of the biggest names in entertainment?
He watched this get right in front of our own face. And the knew it was finna happen. He told us, and we didn't know.
With names like Oprah, Quincy Jones, and Diddy circling around Michael's life, could they have been involved in something much darker?
The story is usually the same, though. You know, these guys work really hard at their craft, but the story ends the same. They usually are broken, torn, and usually just sad.
So what exactly did MJ's mother reveal? It was a rare moment when Katherine Jackson opened up to the world about her son's final days. But in 2010, she chose to sit down with Oprah, pulling back the curtain on her true thoughts. According to her, on the morning of June 25th, 2009, she was engaged in field service as part of her Jehovah's Witness faith when she received an urgent phone call from her husband, Joe Jackson. He told her that an ambulance had taken someone from Michael's home and that the person's body had been completely covered. Recalling her initial reaction, Katherine said,
Joseph had called in between and told me that somebody left Michael's house in an ambulance and they had the whole body covered up. And I prayed all the way to the hospital.
When Katherine arrived at the hospital, she faced an agonizing wait for news. Dr. Conrad Murray, Michael's personal physician, eventually came to speak with her.
They made the doctor tell me. We stayed there a long time before he came in to tell us. Really, I guess he didn't want to either. But the doctor had to tell us, Dr. Murray.
Dr. Murray told you.
Desperate for clarity, Katherine pressed him to tell her the truth about Michael's condition. Finally, Dr. Murray confirmed the worst. Michael was gone.
It took him so long, and I said, well, what happened? He kept saying, and I said, well, how is he? How is he? Did he make it? Or how is it? And he said, no, he's gone.
The task of breaking the devastating news to Michael's children fell to Katherine. She described the heart-wrenching scene as the children were brought into the room to say goodbye. Paris, Michael's daughter, took the loss especially hard. She just held on to her father and kept saying, "I can't live without you, Daddy," Katherine recalled. This tragic moment left a permanent mark on her as she tried to provide comfort to her grieving grandchildren. Katherine's sorrow only deepened as she began to learn more about the circumstances surrounding Michael's death. The cause of death was determined to be acute propofol intoxication, a powerful anesthetic typically used in surgical settings. Katherine recounted her shock and disbelief upon discovering that Michael had been using this drug to help him sleep. She explained that although she knew of Michael's past struggles with painkillers, stemming from severe burns he suffered during a 1984 Pepsi commercial, she was entirely unaware that he had been taking such extreme measures to manage his insomnia. Now, this is a bit strange. How could she have not been aware of the drugs he was taking, yet she knew he was suffering from addiction? Could there have been more that Katherine was not revealing? As it turns out, there was so much more. You see, Oprah was not even a true friend to Michael Jackson. In 1993, Oprah interviewed Michael at his Neverland Ranch in what became one of the most watched interviews in television history. This interview was meant to clear up long-standing rumors about Michael, such as him wanting to become white, rumors about plastic surgery, and bizarre claims like him buying the remains of the Elephant Man or having a telepathic monkey. However, instead of helping his image, Oprah's approach raised eyebrows. She asked intrusive questions.
I'm going to ask you this, and it's embarrassing for me to ask you this, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Are you a virgin?
How could you ask me that question?
I just want to know. I want to know.
I'm a gentleman.
Oprah's questions often felt accusatory, and she even pressed him on his love life and friendships with children, hinting that there might be something inappropriate. Her line of questioning made fans and even his family believe she had an agenda to tarnish his reputation. But the real betrayal came after Michael's death.
Only on CBS this morning, two men who say that Michael Jackson sexually abused them as children are opening up about their experiences with the pop icon. Wade Robson and James Safechuck are featured in an explosive new documentary.
Oprah allegedly stood by the two men who accused the late singer of SA in the documentary, Leaving Neverland, a documentary that also opened the doors to a full-blown legal case. For an interview special with the accusers, which aired immediately after the documentary made its television debut on HBO, the talk show host said that after watching it herself, she called up the film's director and producer, Dan Reed, to say that he had succeeded in illustrating, in just a few hours, what she had tried to explain about SA in 217 episodes of her talk show over 25 years. I know people all over the world are going to be in an uproar and debating whether or not Michael Jackson did these things or not. Did he do it or not do it? Whether these two men are lying or not lying, the media giant said during the taping of the special, which is titled with her name and attached with After Neverland.
You all did, but you had to keep it a secret.
I didn't think of it as good or bad. It was that old sort of wiring of, if you're caught, your life will be over.
She continued, but for me, this moment transcends Michael Jackson. It is much bigger than any one person. This is a moment in time that allows us to see this societal corruption. It's like a scourge on humanity, and it's happening right now. It's happening in families. In the documentary, Wade Robson and James Safechuck allege that Jackson repeatedly med them as boys. Leaving Neverland garnered significant buzz upon its premiere at the Sundance Film Festival and was to be broadcast on HBO in 2 parts. The Jackson family filed a lawsuit against HBO following this. In an interview with the Tom Joyner Morning Show, Taj and Brandy Jackson, Michael's nephew and niece, maintained their uncle is innocent of SA claims raised during HBO's Leaving Neverland documentary, which they tagged as one-sided propaganda. Brandy Jackson also said Oprah's interview after the 4-hour documentary was a real disappointing situation. As far as journalism is concerned, she really let us down with that, added Taj. For me, I've seen it happen before. I was there when she was requesting an interview with my grandma and Michael's kids talking about Michael was misunderstood after Michael's death. She does what she needs to do to get ratings. To me, it's an ultimate betrayal.
She's done that to our family many times, and so we have a different view of Oprah than everyone else does in that sense because, we've been hurt by her many times in the past.
The accusers, Wade Robson and James Safechuck, said Jackson had been inhumane to them for years while they were children and frequent guests at the pop star's Neverland Ranch. Brandy also revealed that she dated Robson for 7 years, which included the period when he alleged the King of Pop was being inappropriate with him. She questioned the time frame of claims and said she knew Robson very well and could tell he was lying. He has always been a bit of an opportunist, she says, before alleging that Robson went public with the SA claims to benefit financially. He knows how to position himself into different situations that will financially benefit him. Taj Jackson said he actually got Robson and his entire family into his uncle's memorial service after they requested to be there. It makes me more angry than anything because these guys are pulling one on the public and they're getting over, Taj Jackson said. He added that the motivation is strictly money. They have an appeal right now for hundreds of millions of dollars. They sued the estate, Taj Jackson said in the interview with Tom Joyner. They were denied, and now they have an appeal coming up. They have all the interest in the world to get the public behind them. To make their case for appeal stronger, he added. Taj also added that he's working with other people on a documentary to refute the claims against his uncle. Meanwhile, fans have also been vocal about their disappointment in Oprah, accusing her of exploiting Michael while protecting other powerful figures like Harvey Weinstein, who was later convicted of serious crimes. They argue that Oprah should have kept the same energy in holding everyone accountable instead of selectively targeting Michael. You see, Oprah's ties to Harvey Weinstein have come under intense scrutiny. Their friendship spanned over 2 decades, and while some argue that Oprah couldn't have known about Weinstein's predatory behavior, others find this hard to believe. Weinstein's reputation in Hollywood was no secret, even in the 90s. When Weinstein was finally exposed and faced multiple allegations of SA, rumors circulated that Oprah allegedly called him to offer her support. Although her team denies this, many believe it due to their close friendship. Oprah had been a prominent figure in Weinstein's life, attending numerous events together and often being photographed with him. This connection runs deeper than just public appearances. Oprah and Weinstein collaborated on several projects, including The Butler, a film that Weinstein produced. Oprah's involvement in the film was seen as a significant endorsement, lending credibility to Weinstein's work. This partnership extended beyond the screen, with both appearing together at various industry events, solidifying their public association. They had a very warm friendship, and the photos show. Some people actually believe that Oprah convinced some actresses to hook up with Harvey Weinstein. In fact, Rose McGowan tweeted out, "I'm glad more people are seeing the ugly truth of Oprah. I wish she were real, but she isn't." Oprah has attempted to speak out on Harvey Weinstein, but she never really gets to the point, and you can tell that she's trying to protect him.
I think that this is, I'm always trying to look for the rainbow in the cloud, whatever is the silver lining. And so I think this is a watershed moment.
Of course, Oprah is trying to switch the narrative and make this about everyone else but Harvey. But we need to talk about the bizarre contrast in Oprah's behavior when it comes to dealing with people like Harvey versus dealing with someone like Michael Jackson. In early 2019, there was a documentary created about Harvey Weinstein titled Untouchable. It premiered at Sundance, but it didn't get a lot of media attention. And of course, Oprah didn't bring any attention to that documentary. But when it comes to the documentary about Michael Jackson leaving Neverland, Oprah decided to go and promote that here. But Oprah wasn't the only one who seemed to have it out for MJ. Quincy Jones was instrumental in Michael Jackson's rise to superstardom, producing some of his biggest hits and helping craft Jackson's signature sound. Their early collaboration produced massive successes with albums like Off the Wall and Thriller, which sold over 66 million copies, solidifying Jackson's title as the king of pop and marking Jones as a legendary producer. Together, they transformed the music industry, setting records and creating timeless hits that continue to influence pop music today. However, after Jackson's death, Quincy Jones began to make headlines with surprising statements about his former collaborator. In a 2018 interview with Vulture, he described Jackson as greedy and even Machiavellian, claiming that Jackson owed much of his success to others, including himself. One particularly shocking accusation was that Jackson had stolen parts of songs, especially the iconic bass line of Billie Jean, which Jones alleged was lifted from Donna Summer's State of Independence. Jackson had long been celebrated for his originality, so this claim surprised fans and cast a shadow over his legacy. Jones didn't stop there. He also expressed skepticism about Jackson's cosmetic changes and his explanation for them, doubting Jackson's claim that he suffered from vitiligo, a skin condition he publicly disclosed. Jones even remarked that he would have Jackson over his appearance changes if he had had the chance to confront him about it. These harsh comments from someone who had been so close to Jackson left many wondering about the deeper reasons behind his sudden hostility. Some speculate that Jones may have been influenced by external forces aiming to tarnish Jackson's reputation. What's more, financial conflicts intensified between Jones and the Jackson estate, further straining their already complex relationship. In 2013, Jones filed a lawsuit against the estate, seeking $30 million in unpaid royalties and fees, particularly from posthumous projects like remixes, documentaries, and Cirque du Soleil, shows featuring Jackson's music. Though Jones initially won $9.4 million in 2017, the Jackson estate fought back, accusing him of exploiting Jackson's legacy for financial gain. John Branca, co-executor of the estate, argued that Jones was unfairly demanding payments beyond what was outlined in his original contracts. The Jackson family didn't hold back either. Michael's father, Joe Jackson, dismissed Jones's allegations about song theft, noting that Quincy was the producer on both Billie Jean and State of Independence, which would make him complicit if any similarities existed. Other family members suggested that Jones had long harbored a vendetta against Jackson, rooted in a disagreement about Grammy Awards for Thriller. According to family sources, Jackson allegedly asked Grammy officials to direct any producer awards to himself, as he believed his artistry was central to Thriller's success. While Quincy did ultimately receive the Grammy, the incident reportedly created a rift that was never fully healed. A Jackson family member even questioned the idea of forgiving Jones for his public criticisms, emphasizing that Michael was no longer around to defend himself. The world knows that Michael was the no one artist in the world, and he didn't need to steal from anyone, they asserted, defending Jackson's legacy and his lasting influence on music. Celebrities also questioned Quincy claims. One person who was really outspoken about it was Snoop Dogg.
Michael Jackson wasn't even making dollars off of his album.
How is Michael Jackson not making money off his own music?
Look
Who takes that? The record label?
The record label.
To him, it did not make sense that Quincy did not make yet all the funds from Michael Music was going directly to the record labels. What is even more shocking was that during one of Michael Jackson's recording sessions, a witness allegedly walked into the control room and noticed everyone glued to the glass window. On the other side, Quincy Jones was reportedly kicking what looked like a pile of rags on the floor, yelling, "Silent, you mother! I said no squeaks!" Turns out, that pile of rags was actually a crouched-down Michael Jackson. They were supposedly working on Billie Jean, and Michael had been filling every pause with his signature sounds, whoops, clicks, and squeaks. But Quincy, as the story goes, wanted a more stripped-down track.
They were recording a new song called Billie Jean, and Michael Jackson had decided to fill every gap with his trademark whoops, clicks, and squeaks. Quincy Jones was kicking what looked like a pile of rags on the floor while shouting, "Silent, you mother f***! I said no squeaks!"
After hours of trying to get Michael to sing it his way, Quincy allegedly lost his cool and snapped at him. Following the outburst, Michael finally sang the song as Quincy wanted, and Billie Jean went on to become the massive hit we know today. Anyway, another person who seemed to have had it out for Michael was Tommy Mottola. In 2002, Michael Jackson publicly accused his record label, Sony, and its head, Tommy Mottola, of exploiting black artists and mistreating him personally. This wasn't a casual remark, but a major statement at a press conference, where Michael didn't hold back. He called out Mottola as racist and devilish, expressing his frustrations about the music industry's treatment of black artists. Michael illustrated his claims vividly, displaying a poster of Mottola with devil horns and a pitchfork. He even held up a sign saying, "Sony Music Kill."
We can't let them get away with what they're trying to do, because now I'm a free agent.
He was furious with Sony for failing to promote his 2001 album, Invincible, and for not releasing a song he'd written as a tribute to victims of the 9/11's attacks. Michael's outrage stemmed from his belief that record companies take advantage of black artists, forcing them to keep touring just to survive financially. He pointed out that even legendary black performers like James Brown and Sammy Davis Jr. had to keep working nonstop or face financial hardship. Michael told his audience, "If you fight for me, you're fighting for all black people, dead and alive." The situation with Sony became even more bitter when Michael's negotiations about his album rights fell through. This left him with no choice but to stay with the label, a position he deeply resented. Consequently, he refused to tour with Invincible. Michael also claimed that Mottola had once used the N-word when referring to another artist under Sony's label, further cementing his low opinion of the executive. Reverend Al Sharpton, a longtime friend of Michael's, agreed with Michael's frustration over the industry's treatment of black artists, but he wasn't on board with the attacks on Mottola. According to Sharpton, Mottola had supported black artists in many ways and had shown commitment to black music issues. He said, "I didn't know Michael was going to personally go after Tommy, but nobody tells Michael Jackson what to do." Sharpton defended Mottola, saying he'd never seen him act in a way that could be called racist. Sony didn't take these accusations lightly either. They quickly issued a statement defending Mottola, calling Michael's comments hurtful and bizarre.
Al went forward and made a big statement to all the newspapers, about what Michael had said, and about all those things being, in his opinion, untrue. And that I, in fact, was there supporting Michael.
They painted Mottola as a respected executive who had always supported Michael and other artists. Sony argued that Michael's complaints had more to do with other issues, hinting that his grievances didn't just stem from Invincible's marketing or distribution. Meanwhile, other music industry figures voiced their disappointment over Michael's public remarks, with calls flooding into Sharpton's office from top producers, including Steve Stout and Corey Rooney. Despite the pushback, Michael's fans rallied around him, insisting he was onto something and that he wouldn't have made such claims without a good reason. They felt that if Mottola and Sony's treatment of him were fair, Michael wouldn't have spoken out so forcefully. Supporters argued that as a generally soft-spoken person, something serious must have happened to make him go public in such a dramatic way. Fans even speculated that powerful forces in the industry, possibly including the so-called Illuminati, were out to silence Michael. They believed that Michael's willingness to challenge Sony publicly made him a threat to these hidden powers, alleging that his boldness might have led to his downfall. To them, Michael wasn't just fighting for himself, but trying to bring attention to the darker sides of the music industry, and they suspected this didn't sit well with certain people in power. By now, it is obvious that Michael Jackson had direct ties to some very shady high-profile figures. But there's one surprising link to him that people have mostly overlooked: his connection to Diddy. Candace Owens recently dropped a bombshell, claiming that Fahim Muhammad, Diddy's head of security, was with Michael the night he died. Owens hinted at a chilling possibility, that figures tied to Diddy might hold hidden clues to Michael's final hours. Muhammad was present the day Michael died and had significant power in Diddy's organization. Some conspiracy theories even suggest that Muhammad played a key role in covering up what really happened to Michael. Apparently, Fahim has also been mentioned in Diddy's lawsuits. According to Rodney Lil Rod Jones' lawsuit documents against P. Diddy, Fahim Muhammad, referred to as Mr. Muhammad, was the head of his security team. Mr. Muhammad had the power to make problems and people disappear. He also had connections within law enforcement. P. Diddy allegedly instructs his staff to always contact Mr. Muhammad if they are ever pulled over by the police in Miami or California. For context, the lawsuit alleges that Diddy and his son shot someone. After that shooting, the documents say explicitly that Mr. Muhammad spoke with the LAPD after G was shot at the recording studio. The LAPD was in the recording studio and witnessed the blood in the restroom, and they went with the bogus claim that the shooting of G occurred outside of the studio. This was all thanks to Mr. Muhammad's connections within law enforcement. So basically, they are supposed to call this guy and he will make it disappear. Now, Ian Carroll, an independent journalist investigating everything that is going on, explains the connection that Fahim has with Michael Jackson. It may seem coincidental at first glance. Fahim Muhammad, with his background in security, holds a significant position in the field. His involvement in providing security for Michael Jackson, coupled with the singer's passing under his supervision, raises questions. Particularly, fans have been wondering about Muhammad's qualifications, given the magnitude of his responsibility at just 21 years old. Who exactly is Fahim Muhammad, and what credentials does he bring to the table? Looking into Ian Carroll's investigation sheds some light. In 2008, Fahim graduated from Sacramento State University with a degree in business administration, specializing in real estate and marketing. The timeline, however, raises eyebrows. Michael Jackson's demise in 2009 coincides with Fahim's recent college graduation, prompting scrutiny into his suitability for such a crucial role in Jackson's security detail. In any case, although none of Michael Jackson's allegations were ever confirmed, fans hold on to the hope that, with Diddy's current troubles, it's only a matter of time before Michael is finally vindicated. Maybe then, his mother can find the justice she's always believed her son deserved. Anyway, that's it for this video, folks. Bye.